Hi, good morning, everybody. Early birds, welcome in this session around Salesforce Billing. My name is Imke. I'm working at head of the billing practice within Wipro. Within this session, I would like to give you a little bit more a glimpse of Salesforce Billing, to explain you what it is. Why do customers choose for Salesforce Billing? Why not another ERP tool on the market, maybe more powerful? And also some best practices. But I've learned during our implementations over the past few years. I would like to share what is for me the key takeaways of what is important and where we have to pay attention of. So, welcome. If my pointer is awake. All right. So first of all, what is Salesforce Billing? It's an add-on package that we can simply install above Salesforce. It comes along with Salesforce CPQ. Right now, we can also install Salesforce Billing as being a standalone. That's something new, seen of the latest release of Salesforce. Latest release last year, obviously. So we can install it also right now as a standalone. But most customers are going to take it along Salesforce CPQ just because of they would like to enjoy most of the benefits of the tool. It's also a very powerful tool. Why do I say that? First of all, when you install the package, the box is empty. You can do whatever you want with it, wherever you want to use automations or whatsoever. The downside of being an empty box is that obviously tax legislation, accounting legislation is not in there, which is quite important for our customers so that we calculate the right tax. In any case, the powerful tool is just the biggest benefit of Salesforce Billing. We have plenty of capabilities. Whatever you can do, you can automate, you can do whatever you want, you can do it manually. When I'm talking about manually, for example, for the ones that are a little bit related to finance, for example, GL transactions, if we want to do our general ledger activities towards an ERP tool, at that moment in time, we can rather do it manually or completely automate it, which is a big benefit. But it's also a unique tool per organization. Why? Plenty of organizations, they do have one legal entity or even more legal entities. So implementations for Salesforce Billing are rather unique per customer, which is very nice, seeing the capabilities of the tool. So in fact, you can, at every implementation, you can make your tool unique based on their requirements, but also based on legislation in other countries or whatsoever. So Salesforce Billing is mainly oriented on the US authorities, which is good, but we are in Europe. So at that moment in time, it makes it unique because Europe doesn't use those American standards. But you can fine-tune and you can configure the tool however you want. So that's a glimpse of Salesforce Billing. Now, why do customers choose exactly for Salesforce Billing and not, like I said in my introduction, not for other tools like SAP or Oracle? First of all, because of the order. So if you know the data model a little bit of Salesforce CPQ, we are going to create an opportunity. Out of that opportunity, we are going to create a code. We are going to select our product. We are going to send that code to our customers. Customers are going to accept that code. And out of the code acceptation, we are going to create an order. That order is in fact the central point that we can use rather for billing, for fulfillment, or for supply chain, or whatsoever. So the order is really the middle point of Salesforce Billing, where we have plenty of opportunities. Also, as being Salesforce Billing standalone, at that moment in time, the order will remain your starting point. So that's the biggest advantage, why we can decouple CPQ from Salesforce Billing, because our order will be the main starting point. Second reason is because of KPI reporting. You hear me already coming, right? So we have everything on the same platform. So all data that we are going to enter in Salesforce at the end of the chain is going to result into reporting based on Tableau or just standard reporting. It's quite powerful, and that's one of the reasons why our customers are going to choose for Salesforce Billing. First of all, we have everything on the same platform, and secondly, we have powerful KPIs, which are important. And one of the main reasons is because our customer service people, so front office, they do have access on the same platform to verify all necessary information to help out a customer in first line. Third reason is because of the billing process, right? Today, when I talk to customers, or every customer is saying to me, yes, we are doing everything by Excel. We are receiving an Excel file from our sales reps, and the sales rep is indicating the price. And based on that price, yeah, I'm going to create a template in Word. Based on that template, I'm going to take my calculator and I'm going to calculate my tax, and then I will send out the invoice. So the reason why customers are investing a lot of money in Salesforce Billing is just because they want to take away those kind of activities from their people. Because they do believe, and I completely agree with them, that we can use those people for other things to do rather than creating templates in Word. So a complete automated billing process, what does that mean? Customer says, my B2B customers, I would like to bill them every 1st of the month. My B2C customers, I would like to bill them every 10th or every 20th or at the end of the month. At that moment in time, we can configure Salesforce Billing so that Salesforce Billing is going to send out those invoices towards their customers at the desired times, so that our finance people can invest their time and spend their time in verifying the reports, verifying revenue transactions to see how the company is going to perform based on their KPIs. And then obviously the fourth reason, I've already talked about that, is because of the 360 view, right? We have our account, we have our opportunity, we have our code, we have an order, we have our invoices, we have our payments, we have our revenue transactions, we have our GL transactions. So everything on one platform and a complete 360 view towards the customer from lead to cash. That's one of the main reasons. Now, within a consulting organization and in a consulting world, it's very important to be competitive together with our competitors or our colleagues. Therefore, at Wipro, we have designed some implementation methods. How are we going to approach that towards our customers? First of all, it's important to listen to the need of the customer. So we are proposing our lead to invoice line. Then the second one is lead to invoice. Third one, lead to collections. And the fourth one, lead to revenue. What do you think is the most famous one amongst our customers? Number 1? Number 4? Number 2? It's number 4. Why? Because first of all, within the first implementation method, where we are going lead to invoice line, we are going to use the functionalities and the capabilities of Salesforce Billing, but only until the creation of the invoice. So all the rest of the power that sits in Salesforce Billing, we are not going to use. Now, at that moment in time, it requires, in this first implementation method, it requires very heavy integration. Why? Our invoice and our invoice lines are created, but VAT is not calculated. Revenue is not generated. So at that moment in time, on the moment the invoice will be created, we need to build a heavy integration or through middleware or whatever to upload our invoices together with the invoice lines. Then the destination org needs to calculate the tax, needs to generate revenue transactions. So first of all, it requires quite some time. And the downside of those kind of integrations is that we can have A downside of it is if integration doesn't work anymore, we cannot send or calculate our invoices to our customers. Now, the second one is lead to invoice. What does that mean? Is that indeed in Salesforce Billing, we are going to calculate revenue, we are going to calculate tax. At that moment in time, we stop our process in Salesforce Billing. Again, through heavy integration, we are going to send it towards ERP. The third one is lead to collection. What does that mean? Collection is, obviously dunning activities. So concretely, invoice lines are going to be generated in Salesforce. PDF document is going to be sent out from Salesforce to our customers. Customers are going to pay. Payments will be allocated in Salesforce against the invoice. At that moment in time, we know which invoice has been paid, which invoice hasn't been paid. We know at that moment in time where we need to perform collection activities. So that's the third one. And then the fourth one, obviously, is the full-blown. At that moment in time, what are we going to do? Invoice line, tax, revenue, which is an important one because a lot of companies are willing to calculate revenue in such kind of a hybrid modus. First of all, they would like to do a revenue forecast. What are we going to have as money within the coming 3, 6, or 12 months? Which revenue do we have now? What's the repartition between one-time, recurring, and usage? So all those kind of activities, if you select implementation method number 4, at that moment in time, you can perform all those tasks out of Salesforce, which again remains on the same platform where integration is quite soft. Does that mean we don't need integration? Obviously, no. We still need integration towards ERP tools, but that can be done through downloads and export and import of files, which makes it a little bit more easier and where we still have time. For finance people, we do know that we do a month-end closing and a year-end closing. So at the end of every billing month, we are going to close down the finance period. Then we take the extract from Salesforce that we are going to upload towards our ERP tool, where again we are going to map it against our general ledgers in the ERP tool. So that's why number 4 is the most famous one, but it's also the longest one, obviously. It takes a little bit time to implement those kind of solutions. When we see the process a little bit into motion, first of all, 360 view, one of the main reasons why our customers are going to choose for Salesforce Billing. First of all, they select their account. On the account, they are going to create an opportunity. On that opportunity, we are going to create a code where we are going to offer our product. We are going to accept that code. Order will be generated. At that moment in time, we know which billing frequency we are going to choose, monthly, quarterly, annual, or semi-annual. We know which kind of information we need to populate on our templates, name of the customer, branding of the company. At that moment in time, we will start to calculate our tax because we need to extract everything correctly on our document. We are going to capture the legal entity. We cannot forget, on the moment we are going to calculate the revenue, we need to know for which entity we need to calculate that revenue, or we need to capture the GL accounts. Capturing GL accounts happens after selecting of the legal entity. We are going to enter those activities into a finance period, into a fiscal year, and we are going to generate our finance transactions, right? Finance transactions, again, when we go back to implementation method number 4, at that moment in time, we are going at month-end closing, we are going to extract our data in Salesforce and upload it towards our ERP tool. Therefore, we are going to generate finance transactions. Then we can recognize revenue. And at that moment in time, we can collect and allocate our payments, or we can perform dunning activities. We are integrating already with our ERP tool. And then at the end of the cycle, we can perform our KPI reporting in Salesforce, in data warehouse, whatever. At that moment in time, our complete process has been ended completely on Salesforce. Now, if we check a little bit the data model of Salesforce Billing, obviously this is not the complete picture of the data model, but what I want to highlight with this slide are two important things. At the left-hand side of the slide, you can see products, which are our key area when we are going to implement Salesforce Billing. And at the right-hand side, we have our legal entity. So when we implement Salesforce Billing, first of all, we need to capture our products, and we need to allocate or liaise our products together with our legal entity. Then on the product, what are we going to do? We are going to expose billing rules, tax rules, and revenue recognition rules, right? Billing rule, how do I want to bill my customer? Again, I refer my B2C customer at the first of the month, my B2B at the 10th, 15th, or at the end of the month. That's handled within our billing rules. Obviously dynamically, because we are not going to multiply our product catalog because we want to bill to B2B and B2C customers. No, we are going to handle that dynamically through automation again. Our tax rules, to which city are we, or to which country are we going to bill that customer? That will be important to calculate the correct tax amount. And then revenue, how do we want to recognize revenue for that product? We want to do it on order activation. We want to do it on invoice posting. That's how we are going to define our rules on the product. And in every rule in Salesforce, we have a treatment. Why? Because B2B, B2C customers for the legal entity Leonardo in Amsterdam, we would like to bill on the first of the month, but all our B2C customers for Leonardo in Brussels, we would like to bill at the end of the month. Those rules are handled within a treatment, all right? Tax, same, and revenue recognition, the same. So in fact, we are going to define a general rule within our rules, and within our treatment, we can define some exceptions or different handling methods, how we are going to deal with those kind of rules. Obviously, within tax, we are going to also to work with a tax integration or a tax engine. Everybody knows the standard tax engine, but we also know Avalara. But we also know Vertex. Today, Salesforce has a direct link with Avalara. When you open Salesforce Billing and you would go to the tax integration, you will see that Avalara is already pre-installed. But we have other vendors on the market, just like Vertex, who are the competitors of Avalara. It's a little bit the choice of the customer, which tax integration to choose, because both do the same, right? Tax integrations, what does that mean? We are going to define where would you like to calculate tax. We have tax calculation in the US, or we have tax calculation in Europe. This is important to know as an implementation partner upfront how you are going to advise the customer. Me, personally, I'm always advising the customer as from the moment the customer says, I'm doing business in the US and I need to declare my VAT in the US, I'm always going to refer the customer to a partner, Vertex or Avalara. Why? Because tax calculation in the US is very complex. You can live or you can have your company in New York, but you live in the north of New York. Their tax percentage is, for example, 3%. If you live in the south of New York, at that moment in time, tax percentage will be 10%. And depending on which state or which county you're living in, again, there are exceptions. So don't go on that route unless you know the tax laws from the US by heart. Then I would say, yes, use the standard tax engine. If not, always refer to those partners. So those are tax engines, and then we have also on revenue, we have revenue distribution methods. Example that I gave, B2B, I want to recognize on order activation. B2C, I would like to recognize on invoice posting. At that moment in time, we are going to define that in our revenue distribution methods. All those activities are then going to be stored into a finance period together with finance a fiscal year. That information is tied towards a legal entity. And based on all the transactions that we have done, we are going to create our GL rules, right? GL rules means general ledger. Concretely, I create an invoice of 100 euro. I'll calculate 20% of tax. So my total amount is 120. 100 goes to the credit side of revenue. 20 goes to the credit side of tax account. And 120 goes to the debit side of revenue, all right? Of accounts receivable, excuse me. So debit, credit equal to 0. At that moment in time, our calculations are correct. Our GL rules has been activated within our rules. Again, we have our treatments. Why? Recurring products, I want to book on revenue GL account number X, and recurring one-time charges, I would like to recognize or to book on another GL account. Those kind of exceptions we are going to handle within our treatment. And then every treatment also has a debit GL account and a credit GL account. All right? Obviously, Salesforce Billing, what you can see here is that we are billing, right? We are not performing any ERP activity. What does that mean? For example, depreciation, we don't do. Fixed assets doesn't exist in Salesforce Billing. Accounts payable doesn't exist in Salesforce Billing, right? Salesforce Billing is not an ERP tool, right? Salesforce doesn't have the idea to go on that route. Why? We don't have to reinvent the wheel because it already exists. We have plenty of tools built on Salesforce that are doing ERP activities, right? So it is simply an automated billing tool for all accounts receivable tasks. Salesforce Billing is your tool, right? Not for all ERP activities. Then, some best practices, right? I just created one slide, things to remember. What I've learned after implementing Salesforce Billing for approximately 8 years is that, first of all, we need to try to understand the business case and why the customer would like to implement Salesforce Billing, right? I'm always challenging our customers. Why Salesforce Billing? Why don't you want Zuora? It's a very good tool. Why don't you want SAP? Come on, SAP can everything. Why do you want to implement Salesforce Billing? Well, main reasons that I gave on the slide, why do customers choose Salesforce Billing? If that matches, obviously I will be very happy to implement Salesforce Billing. If the customer says, yeah, Salesforce sold me some licenses of Salesforce Billing because I can try it, then yeah, we need to clearly understand why they exactly would like to implement Salesforce Billing, right? Also, the licensing model on Salesforce Billing is a little bit different than other cloud solutions, right? I don't know if you know, but licensing of Salesforce Billing is calculated on the yearly revenue of the customer. So if revenue is going to increase, because Salesforce can create prices for example, for the coming 5 years, if your revenue is going to increase, you benefit from the nice price you've received. If your revenue is going to decline, you're not going to benefit from the nice price you've received. One of the main reasons why customers are implementing Salesforce Billing is just to increase revenue, right? Because they want to sell more, because they want to target the market differently. So obviously, revenue will go up by implementing Salesforce Billing, or by implementing your new strategy or your new vision. So the reason why they would like to implement Salesforce Billing is very important. Second thing I would like you to remember is that it's very important to give the customer a demo of Salesforce Billing. You can say, yeah, isn't that been done? Well, no. So on the moment Salesforce is going to sell Salesforce Billing, they are going to give indeed a demo of the platform, but they are more demoing within CPQ. So really end-to-end, before you're going to start the design of the solution, it is very important that when you talk to finance people, that they are talking the same language. If we are talking about a billing rule, that they understand what is a billing rule for Salesforce Billing. Because a billing rule in SAP or in Oracle is completely different, right? So on the moment that we are going to start design, this is very important that the customer indeed is aligned on the way forward. The third thing that I mentioned, maybe for you it's obvious, is understanding the business of the customer. What do I mean with that? For example, when I start the design phase or a discovery phase with the customer, I always ask them to be part of their operations. For example, today we are, so as we speak, we are going live with a customer that is renting containers. What did I ask? I've asked to show me their containers. I've asked if I could be part of one of the truck drivers that goes to deliver their container towards the customer, because I want to understand what the customer is exactly doing. If one of the finance persons is telling me, yes, I would like to recognize revenue per container, now I understand why. In the beginning that she told me, I thought, I think you are overreacting a little bit. You have your containers. Yes, but every container will be shipped by a company, so I need to know which company delivered that container. So thanks to walking away and working with with the customer themselves, I could better understand their business case. Do we always have the chance to do so? No. It would be a lie if I would say, oh yes. Also, you have to see, I did it for this customer, I did it unbillable, because I'm just interested in the business. But sometimes, first of all, you don't have time, because everything needs to go too fast, so fast. Or the customer just simply doesn't allow you to do so, right? But this is one of the main things I like about implementing Salesforce Billing is, first of all, understanding the business of the customer. Designing the solution. Where do we have to pay attention? It is building your product structure in function of Salesforce Billing, right? Not because you're going to implement Salesforce Billing, obviously, that's one of the reasons, but you always need to design your product structure in function of finance. Sometimes we forget that. Every single customer says, I would like to implement Salesforce in its completeness, because we are thinking in silos, right? Even if we are going to design CPQ together with billing or only CPQ, there also marketing department is thinking in a silo only for marketing. Don't forget to involve during design of CPQ also finance people. If you're not going to implement Salesforce Billing, always do so. Why? Because finance people, they have specific needs to recognize the revenue and all the explanation I gave you. So designing the solution in function of finance will give you a lot of benefits. Prototyping different aspects is also important. When customer has heavy requirements around revenue recognition, it doesn't harm to try to prototype that, show that to the customer. This is possible, this is standard out of the box. Your requirements, it's quite difficult, but maybe we can mitigate it by implementing an alternative solution. So prototyping their requirements helps them in understanding why the system cannot handle their requirement. Obviously, avoid customization. I think every person, unless on the ground floor, where we are talking with developers, is going to say, yes, avoid custom solutions. First floor is going to say, custom solutions, top. In Salesforce Billing, it's not that top. Why? Obviously, we have tax laws, we have accounting laws. If we are going to do customization based on those two parameters, and Salesforce is going to launch an update from their package, and you did some customization in there, you can do your complete project again. And believe me, you can do it again. I've met some customers with Salesforce Billing with heavy customization, where Salesforce did an announcement of decoupling Salesforce CPQ from Salesforce Billing, and we need to redesign the complete solution, which is less positive for the customer. Make it future-proof, obviously. We are trying to work in every single implementation to make it future-proof, of course. What do I mean for Salesforce Billing? What I just explained based on customization. We don't know how tax laws and accounting laws are going to evolve over time, right? I'm working 18 years in finance. I knew, mainly in Belgium, so in Europe, I have known over, within my past career, 3 updates. Once, a VAT percentage that changed in Belgium, and secondly, a tax law that changed how you need to declare your VAT. So we are quite okay when it comes to changes within laws. So making it future-proof when something would be updated is always a nice to have. And obviously documentation. What I also hear, for example, imagine yourself, put yourself in the shoes of the customer, that we have created tax rules and tax laws are going to change, and VAT rates are going to be adapted. When you document your solution, when you document your implementation, and tax authorities are saying, as from the 1st of January 2023, we are going to increase our tax percentage with 1%, and they need to call an implementation partner that only has resources that are available in February next year, and taxes are going to change, and so don't make, during your implementation, don't make your customer dependent from you. Certainly not in finance, right? That they are able to maintain that tool themselves. By creating simple documentation, this should solve that benefit or solve that issue, depending how you see it. So, there we are. I hope I didn't bore you too much with some finance talk so early in the morning. Does anyone has a question? Here you are. It's on. Yeah.
First of all, thank you so much for the presentation. Super interesting. I have a few questions. I'd like to ask you, first of all, what's your background? Is it related to finance and billing, or you just step into it and start working with Salesforce Billing?
Well, my background, I've worked at the customer side for 16 years, mainly in finance. So yes, my background is finance, so I started my career in finance. However, starting with Salesforce Billing, you don't require finance background, absolutely not.
Is there any connection between Salesforce Billing and the Financial Force?
Yes, there is. So Financial Force is completely built on the Salesforce platform. And there's an open API from Salesforce Billing towards Financial Force. And Financial Force has an engine that reads the data from Salesforce CPQ and Billing.
In the billing process, is there any document generation tool embedded in Salesforce Billing?
Yes. Just like Salesforce CPQ, we have DocGen embedded from DocuSign. Before it was Conga, replaced by DocuSign, and now it's DocGen.
How long does implementation usually take?
Implementation methods, number 1, takes approximately between 30 and 60 days. Implementation method 4 approximately takes up to 5 to 6 months.
And I assume that there is no, MVP because you need to implement the whole process.
Yes. You cannot say we go live with creation of invoice. But revenue we will do within 2 years. That's not possible.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
How do you convince the big enterprise clients to use Salesforce CPQ? I mean, billing, because if you see the big enterprise clients, they may use their invoices, like 10 years they're using SAP billing or et cetera, et cetera. So when it comes to have complex billing system, they used to charge on a different global level, okay? They have their operations in 18, 19 countries. So when those are the customers, when they come to you, say, okay, fine, I have Salesforce, Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, CPQ, now I need to choose a billing. I mean, what do you suggest? I mean, to go with all the steps, or?
No, I don't convince them to take Salesforce Billing.
Okay.
I will advise them to work from Salesforce CPQ, where we are going to create the data, and where we are going to export the data from Salesforce CPQ and input them in their ERP tool. I'm not going to propose a tool, just such as Salesforce Billing for big enterprises.
Okay, I mean, you worked for 8 years in the Salesforce Billing, right? Did you anytime overcome on the document storage from Salesforce? Like, you're generating invoice for every month, or et cetera, all the documents would be stored in the Salesforce.
Yes.
I mean, how do you manage the storage and everything? I mean,
I built an automation that at the end of the year, finance documents needs to be stored for 10 years
exactly.
amongst the globe.
Yep.
So I've built out an automation that after each year, I'm going to extract PDF documents. We are going to post them on an SFTP server or on a data warehouse tool, right?
Okay.
Where we are going to extract and delete the documents from Salesforce, but store them outside of Salesforce.
But if they need to see that particular document, you're going to give a link and they're going to open
correct. There will always, if you have an audit within Salesforce and the auditor is asking where's the document, there's always a link on the account 360 towards the invoice. So the PDF document as such will be deleted from Salesforce, but there will always be a trace towards the PDF document. You understand?
So, did you implement the payment gateway in the invoices? So that, again, it's a third party, right? I mean, you're doing the integrations for that. I got an invoice, so I need to pay. I have a payment gateway. So again, you're going to integrate with the third party.
That depends how you want to pay your invoice. Do you want to pay your invoice by bank transfer? There's not a lot of payment gateways that do offer that.
Okay.
I would like to pay by check. Again, not a lot of, but I would like to pay by credit card. There we have plenty of possibilities. Molly, Braintree, Stripe.
Okay.
Those
But
kind
I mean,
of.
do Salesforce give an out-of-box functionality for that? I mean,
Out-of-the-box functionality, there's an open API where you can install Stripe on it, and then you need to configure Stripe together with Salesforce in order to have your automation. So standard out-of-the-box within Salesforce Billing, there's no payment gateway, but there are open APIs, but that Salesforce will accept to connect with any gateway that you want.
Okay, I mean, as a newcomer, if he or she needs to learn the billing, so like CPQ, we have a 3-month trial version. So do we have the same thing for billing also? Like,
yes.
okay, I can install the package for, then I can just do
yes,
the POC
absolutely.
for the customer.
Yeah, you can simply go to install the package of CPQ, where you would like to have a training org for CPQ and for billing.
Okay.
Then CPQ is already pre-configured. Salesforce Billing will be empty, where you can try to configure Salesforce Billing yourself, also for 3 months.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Hi. I was actually wondering how the approval process would work with billing, because I remember when I was at ING, there was always a big discussion. So I would think it follows the normal
Standard.
sales standard.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And within Salesforce CPQ, you have the advanced approval management, where you can benefit a little bit more of complex approval flows, but indeed it follows the standard approval process of Salesforce.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And another question is, how would it work if I would use my Salesforce org for a couple of different countries? Because I have some other entities. Then I assume it's all based on those legal entity, and then the tax will follow from there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So right now, the implementation I'm doing for the container customer is operating in 30, so 30 countries where we have set up 30 legal entities. Yeah.
But that's a lot of work, I would assume.
That's a lot of
is it
work.
Copy-paste.
But you can copy-paste, yeah. Copy-paste in the sense of you can copy-paste the setup of the legal entity. You cannot copy-paste the tax rules. Because they are different.
That would be...
Yeah.
Which is great. Anybody else?
You mentioned that for big enterprise companies, you wouldn't recommend Salesforce Billing. So, for what kind of companies would you recommend, and where is the boundary?
For me, there's no boundary. But let's be honest, big enterprises, where they are going to produce approximately 3,000 to 4,000 invoices a night, they are already using very solid billing machines. So to be able to compete with those, it's absolutely complex, and it's very hard to win those kind of deals. I'm very honest. Now, I'm not going to say to a big enterprise, oh no, don't take Salesforce Billing. Again, understanding their business case, why they would like to have Salesforce Billing is important. So I don't really have a boundary, but I'm targeting small and medium enterprises with a revenue around 10 million euro.
So one more question on that. I'm currently working at a client who will switch to SAP within a year, and we're now building their Salesforce org. Would you, in those cases, recommend to at least explore that?
Of course.
Of
course. Yes.
Because it's really big. I think there are 10,000 people.
You can explore, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then define on their business needs, try to advise the customer in the best possible way. And so, first of all, we are a Salesforce, or the company where I'm working for, we are a Salesforce implementation partner, but we also offer within our Revenue Cloud practice some advisory, where I really take the customer on a journey, where we are going to analyze the customer needs or the finance roadmap that they have, where I'm going to try to advise them on technology, what's the best possible fit for them. So I don't really have a boundary to go into Salesforce Billing, but it all depends on their needs, and it all depends on the volumes that they would like to produce.
That's your major concern?
I haven't seen, so the company where I was working before joining a consulting company was producing 2,500 to 2,700 invoices a night. So the invoice scheduler, the one that is going to prepare the invoices, was running just before midnight because business was closed, right? So there, if performance is quite low at that moment in time, I haven't encountered any volume issues, but I haven't created more than 5,000 invoices a night. So if that's the requirement, I'm not sure where I truly believe that there we will hit a limit. Right, Salesforce is trying to explore to see how they can unleash that, but this is not even part of their roadmap. So also Salesforce is really targeting small and medium enterprises and not those big machines.
So you were talking about Zuora as well. When would you position Zuora and when would you position billing?
My observations over the past years is that the product engine must be as close as possible to the billing engine. Why? I don't want to decouple both. When we go to Zuora, we are decoupling both. However, Zuora is a very good billing and revenue recognition tool, right? So I am positioning Zuora on the moment that we know that decoupling product engine from billing engine cannot harm. How can it not harm? By having a backup. You understand? No. So where Zuora is a powerful billing and revenue recognition tool, but it's not a good CPQ tool. So if you have your CPQ activities in Salesforce, There you're going to back up your data by extracting your lead to invoice lines, right? And that uploading to Zuora, I don't have an issue in positioning Zuora because there's a backup. I have a download, right? If you don't have that backup, I would always recommend to keep your billing engine next to your product engine. So Zuora is also going onto the market into, we have CPQ, and they do, but there you're completely decoupling your product from your billing, which can be a downside. I'm just thinking about the best possible architecture, right? So having your product engine as close as to your billing engine learned me that that's the most safe situation a customer can have.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi. For example, if a customer has Financial Force, why would a customer choose Salesforce Billing over, for example, Billing Central, the tool that they offer, if they already do their accounting in Financial Force, for example?
It depends what's the activity of the customer, right? If the customer is in subscription modus, Billing Central or Financial Force had a little bit more difficulties to follow that. Why? Billing Central will not be able to offer usage. In subscription, this is very important. And is less good in maintaining different billing frequencies. Therefore, I would suggest to use Salesforce Billing as your billing tool, and obviously Financial Force as your accounting tool. That's how I would propose it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we are out of time. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Enjoy a little bit of the sun outside of the terrace, and wishing you a good rest of the weekend. Thank you. Bye-bye.